welcome to No Movies in Hell.
Hi, I'm LaCroix Scott, and today we are reviewing The Bad Guys.
In my quest to see more
Animated films.
family-friendly animated films, Bad Guys is on the list. I like Sam Rockwell. I like Awkwafina. So I thought this would be good.
So it's interesting. I didn't know, I guess, unaware of the voice actors, with the exception of Awkwafina stemming from the trailers. So it took me a little bit, even when seeing this film, to understand like who's voicing what. And then I was like, oh, that sounds like Craig Robinson. And then I was like, okay, I got two out of them. All right. Immediately after I leave, I will check and see who else was cast. But I feel like there was so much advertising around this, and that it was a big bet for them, and I hope it paid off. I love animated films, especially Disney. So I thought this was interesting because even in the first couple shots, like them being the wolf being in the diner with the snake, it was almost like you're watching an Ocean's 11, almost like a Tarantino-esque film, and then it was just like animated. So it was a little more engaging than your typical animated film.
Yes, I definitely got Pulp Fiction vibes from that diner scene. I didn't feel like it lived up to the hype.
Okay.
But then how much can you do with a family friendly movie? Of course there's going to be a lesson that you take away. Yes. And of course the ending is going to be feel good. They're not going to get into too much trouble.
Right.
So I liked the twist, right? But it happens. It was not unexpected, but it made sense within the movie. I think, it's going to be one of those that you see on Saturday afternoon TV.
No, I agree. FX and like TBS and all the TNT, they're going to play it like round the clock for kids. I mean, there was no surprise. There were, of course, it's like red herrings all over the place. You already know what's going to happen. But I really liked, when I went to go see it, seeing these kids like just burst out laughing at these jokes. But also the parents too are like, oh, I got that. Like, it's just kind of like, viewing for two or more, obviously, but then there's those jokes for the parents, and then there's the jokes for the kids. Overall, I thought it was fine. I can't remember what score I gave it, but I thought, after knowing, that Sam Rockwell did the voice of the wolf, which is funny because I'm like, I cannot place who this person is. And then for the snake, I was like, I really can't place who this person is. And I was like, oh, it's Mark Maron. Oh, interesting.
I did think that was an interesting choice. I was like, wow. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I feel like he's been in certain movies. Like, for example, I knew that he was supposed to be in Ant-Man, the first one, and his scenes were cut. And then I think he was in another like Ant-Man movie, Ant-Man 2, or like another movie, and his scenes were cut. So it's like this whole thing of like not getting any shine. And then all of a sudden he is a main character. Like, he's almost in every scene of an animated film.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know Sam Rockwell. I can identify Awkwafina, right? Like, she is a very distinctive sound. But I didn't know Sam Rockwell was in it until I started watching it. And I was like, wait, that sounds like Sam Rockwell. And then I looked it up and it was him. I had just seen him on Broadway in American Buffalo. So I think that's it resonated a little bit more than it would have, I think, if I had not just like seen him and it had been fresh in my mind, which American Buffalo, very good in case you are looking to see that.
Ooh, I need to sidebar with you and ask you how it was.
Yeah, I liked it. Okay, let's pull up the slides.
Mm-hmm. I want to say something, but then I know it's going to get cropped out. So I'm like waiting.
Pause.
Don't forget what you're trying to say.
All right, go ahead.
So I was trying to place who was the actor of the guinea pig, Mr. Marmalade.
Mm.
And I thought it was one English actor, and then I was so surprised to see it was Richard Ayoade, because I'm such a huge fan of his from the IT Crowd, and then he was in The Watch, and then he does a number of different things on television. But I was like, oh, he's my favorite. So it was great to see, or I guess hear his voice, and so it was nice. So wow, we really this was just a real average dollar cost average movie for both of
Yeah.
us.
I mean, it was though, right? And I mean that's okay. They can't all be Emmy winners or Tony, like they can't all
Yeah,
be Oscar winners. What am I saying? But you still gave it a 3 on Reader's Choice.
I did. I really liked how it almost didn't feel like there are parts where it almost didn't feel like an animated film. Like the diner scene. I think there's the heist scenes definitely look a little more unanimated in nature. And so I thought that I was like, oh, I will give it a little extra bump for that.
Do you think that because of the special effects that are available now for action movies, that action movies are like the distinction between action movies and animated movies is coming closer and closer. Like pretty soon you won't be able to tell the difference.
Ugh, I still think there's going to be a distinction. Like even when we look at, this film versus something that's very advanced, an advanced action movie with zombies, for example, and how far we've come from, the iRobots of the world, and like this like World War Z, or like you think of those types of the animation that is required to make things that move very fast and kind of turn in a different way. And then there's some things like this where it's stylized in such a way. I still think that there's a definite bifurcation between the types of styles. It's going to be a very long time before it's kind of like seamlessly put together, because I feel like even in action films that use a lot of CGI, it still looks really cartoony, like Marvel movies. Like you can't recover if you fall down, if you're being, I don't know, thrusted up against like a wall, or you're falling on a car and you just bounce back and you just like brush yourself off. Like that's not realistic.
Yeah, no, that yes, it's not realistic, but I think that's like where you'll see, to me, that's the line that's getting blurred, right? Like they expect you to feel like that's real in non-animated movies. Like the open for Deadpool, like that first cars, like where everything is like slow motion and you see, and to me that's like where the intersection is happening. This is clearly animated, but it's being presented in a live action movie, and you're sort of being expected to accept this as live action, or a form of live action. So I think the blurring of the lines, the producers are coming up with more and more blurring of the lines. Whether or not the audiences are really accepting it or will accept it is another thing.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to plug in this episode?
Well, I guess kind of. So definitely looking forward to the rest of the cinematic season. So the indies, the petite mamans of the world, hatchling men, and I guess immediately will be Doctor Strange 2, which is tomorrow.
So yesterday I think it was out at AMC because I went to see Sonic and there were so many people at the Times Square AMC. Like it was a surprisingly large crowd.
Oh, it's back again.
Why is everyone here on a Wednesday or whatever, Thursday,
yeah.
And it was Doctor Strange. So
Marvel movies have changed the way, like distribution days. So their distribution is on a Thursday. I think Star Wars is either on a Tuesday or a Thursday too. Like they had to actually change, when movies are going to be released, which is pretty wild.
So I'm surprised you didn't see it already, honestly, because I know you like to go before anyone can spoil anything.
I know. I definitely dropped the ball on this one. So we're seeing it on Saturday. For some reason, I thought I had time. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's coming out on literally May 5th. And I was just like, oh, I totally like Saturday then, and just basically stay away from news.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So do you have anything to plug?
I don't have anything to plug, but I am going to go on the record as saying I think I might not like Top Gun.
It's actually not in my, it's not in my like must see. Did you get the AMC Investor Connect? Okay. I thought about doing it then.
But I'm flying that day to Chicago, so I don't know if they're doing it in Chicago too, or if I would make it in time to see it. Because usually the Investor Connects are just like one showing at like 7 or something. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to. It's one of those things.
Okay, so what happened to your now? Why the uncertainty?
I think because I've seen the longer trailer now for it a couple times, and I want it to be so good. Like right, like Top Gun, the original, came out in my formative years, and I loved it. And like I know Tom Cruise has been sort of a little bit crazy, like in the latter years. But he will always be Maverick to me, right? Like it was just like such an iconic movie at that time. And I just think now seeing the trailer, I love Jennifer Connelly. It seems like it's set up for success, right? The cast that they have, I think
Lady Gaga song.
Yeah, like it, I mean, they spared no expense for sure. It seems like it's set up for success, but it doesn't seem to have evolved from the story point, right? Like there's a volleyball scene. Like we saw the first volleyball. We don't need another one. He's on his motorcycle. All right. Like that makes sense, I guess, that he's still riding a motorcycle. They're talking about if these are your pilots and if something happens to one of them and he's like, somebody's not coming back, right? I think his character dies. Like I have no idea, but my guess is that his character dies in the end because they're not gonna make a Top Gun 3. Like that's just insane. So I think his character it just seems like it might be too like over architected.
I could see that. Like it's also not on a milestone either. Like would it have been better at the 20-year or 25-year or even 30-year? And what would they have to say after all these years, to your point of like continuing the story? Like, I'd be curious. I agree with you. I think that actually not a lot of people are actually going to see this. And I'm going to say that on the record. I think that people are going to want to see Jurassic Park Dominion, but not. So I really do. I think the boat has sailed, to your point.
Well, that's the other thing, right? It's been so long anticipated, right? Like it was supposed to come out 2 years ago and we've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And even people like me who've been like, who loved the movie when it first came out, like the first one, like how good does it have to be, right? At this point for it to deliver on the promise. And I don't know, like, is it Dune and Nightmare Alley and like all of these wrapped up into one? I don't think it is.
If Guillermo del Toro is in Top Gun Maverick, oh my gosh. I will see that movie every day for the whole month.
That would be awesome. All right. So to be continued, but I'm just going on the record. I think it might not be good. I want it to be, but fingers crossed. We won't know until the end of March.
We should throw it out there to the audience, like a poll or something.
For sure. For sure. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.